Morning in Seacroft, and welcome to the Every Bus vlog. 3 routes today, and I think I'm finishing Castleford, but I thought I'd done that already, so I'm not going to make that kind of claim. The 22 is an Arriva bus which runs thrice a day between Seacroft and Castleford via Cross Gates. I'm also ticking off the 21 today, we'll get to that later. Also there's the 163, the one I'd forgotten about, which goes from Castleford to Leeds via Cross Gates. Bit of a pattern for me. And the 40 is a relatively short local first service between Leeds city centre and Seacroft bus station. It's probably the slowest, most indirect bus to Seacroft, given that it goes well out of its way to go via Cross Gates. You know, I've been talking about stopping off at Cross Gates for a while now, and I'm going to say this right now, I was short on time when I was filming this, so I didn't get to explore Cross Gates. Having learned my lesson about getting awkward buses out of the way early, we're starting in Seacroft, which I used as a park and ride today, hence the rush, time limited parking being what it is. The 22 didn't show up on the real-time information screens, which was a bit annoying, but the bus did show up almost on time. Pulled in, loaded up, and off we went. The 22 is a really lovely route. A relatively short hop down to Cross Gates, and everyone but me got off there just before the 22 turned off the ring road and started going round the houses. Yeah, this is going to be another one of those routes with a lot of people using just part of the route for short hops, but nobody except me going end to end, being as weird as I am. Annoyingly, Google Maps refused to give me a journey plan that involved staying on the 22 all the way to Castleford. Even when I said I wanted a journey with fewer transfers, it suggested I get off in Swillington and change to the 168, even though the 22 does go all the way. The reason is, the 22 is slow. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Halton comes first, and then over the M1 we go. Up to this point, we share our route with another Arriva bus, the 21. The 21 doesn't go over the M1. It turns around about here and shares its route with the 19 and 19A, heading over to Halton. Not the one just east of Liverpool, the one just east of Leeds. Then heads back up to Seacroft, and I'll cover the rest of the route when I cover the 19s. But anyway, back to the 22. Swillington Common, then Swillington, where I didn't in fact change buses. Woodlesford is next. On Saturdays the 22 does a little loop around Woodlesford, but this was a Monday so we just keep on going. We go well out of our way to Rothwell, then almost but not quite back on ourselves. We cross the M62 not once but twice, then we're back in the familiar territory of Methley, sharing our route with the 140 and 141 for the rest of the trek into Castleford. Castleford and its bus station are as they ever were. There's no point in hanging around, we've got a bus to catch, the forgotten 163. Every 15 minutes the 163 starts a long slog up to Leeds. After the cradle of civilization that is Allerton Bywater, we head north to Kippax. With a name like that, I absolutely had to do some digging. Kippax. When I got back to Seacroft, I borrowed a copy of the Concise Oxford Dictionary of English Place Names, the 4th edition, who says that it's been around basically forever. It was in the Domesday Book as Chippesh, perhaps named after a person, they don't know. Later, it was partly Scandinavianized. Wow, what a word that is. To Kippask. And from there, the passage of time shortened it to Kippax. For all the comments about its name, all I've really got to say about the place itself is it's pretty. There's some nice ponds there. But these days it's been relegated to being just another town in the Leeds commute belt, really. It's got a couple of pubs, a small collection of shops, a public library. Not much else, to be honest. At least not that I saw while I was riding the bus through it. Speaking of places that don't have much else, here's Garforth again, looking always as it ever does. Then Halton, then Cross Gates, and we're going to be doubling back on ourselves, so let's skip ahead to Leeds. The number 40 is an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure why it exists. It was registered in 2011 as a commercial service, originally running from Infirmary Street Bus Point. Now it uses on-street bus shops near the Corn Exchange. With the exception of a couple of roads, everywhere on the route is served by another bus. The 40 shares its route with the 163 between Leeds and Cross Gates. The only reason I'm covering that part of the route now is we get to ride on the guided busway. My experience on the York Road guided busway was kind of underwhelming. It didn't actually add any speed to our journey. If anything, it slowed us down. The driver had to slow right down to engage the guide wheels, which suggests they aren't quite working as intended. Maybe they are, I don't know. But there were also frequent breaks in the guideway, so the bus had to repeatedly slow down to a walking pace. I'm sure at peak times it does make the journey a heck of a lot better, but I travel off-peak and it just made the journey worse. We leave the guideway to go under a narrow bridge. The bridge is signal controlled with only one direction being allowed through at a time, which seems unusual. I'm guessing head-on collisions have been an issue. Either that, or something to do with the way the bridge is arched, making buses only able to go under it in the middle lane, maybe? I don't know. Once again, we pass through Halton, not the one near Liverpool, the one near Leeds, and we're back at Cross Gates. From here, we get the only bit of route unique to the 40, Pender's Way and Stanks Drive. What a name. I could easily have gotten away without riding the 40. I would easily have gotten a taste of the route just from the other two buses I rode today. But for Stanks Drive alone, I'm glad I chose to. Finally, a bit of wiggling around later, the 40 turns left and heads to Seacroft Green bus station, where my car was waiting for me. It was quite a long day, which I've hopefully managed to condense into one easy-to-digest video. I learned about Kippax, and I got to appreciate Allerton Bywater again, which I confess is starting to grow on me. But with that, we have reached our final stop for today. Thanks to my 3 patrons, all of whom have asked to remain anonymous, I will thank you by not thanking you. You can join their ranks at patreon.com/everybusvlog. If you sign up for £5 a month and become a paid member, you get access to these vlog episodes whenever they happen to be done, instead of waiting until Friday afternoon. If you become an extended member for £10 a month, you also get longer videos of entire routes or parts of routes. But whatever else happens, don't forget to thank your driver.